love the hair.
Thank
Hey.
you.
Awesome. Looking fabulous.
Thank you so
Nice. I'm almost jealous.
Oh, really? No, girl, I'm going to join you soon. Don't worry, I'm going to join you. This is
Lovely.
the peace that passes understanding lives there where you are.
Yes. Okay, awesome. So, I think we should get right into it. Thank you for joining us, Ofi. And thank you to everyone else who was with us. I see Umpilo and Boyan. Welcome. Mr. Ion
Hello.
Chef, very much.
Yes.
All
Mr.
right. So this is the lockdown chat with Nos and Mbuyi. Welcome to our 7th episode of our we are joined, yes, by myself, Nosipho Mkhize, and Umbuyiselo Vilagazi, who is my co-host and co-producer. And I'd like to welcome everyone and also our special guest, Ofentse Ioncheva.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I'd like to start by opening with a quote from one of our famous women, the late Maya Angelou. From her book, I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings, she says, just a simple quote, ask for what you want and be prepared to get it. I think this is a perfect quote, especially for a lady like Ofentse, who is multi-talented and who goes for what she wants. She is a trailblazer who forges through any situation to get what she is destined to have upon this earth and beyond. In style, travel, veganism, spirituality, books, and life in general, she is a multifaceted human being with a blog on WordPress.com, with a channel with almost 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. And plus, you can find her on Instagram and Pinterest. She's not only a blogger and a vlogger, but she is an entrepreneur with Taji Shea Butter products. And she's also an author and creator of a styling book, 50 Shades of Duku. Ofentse is the founder and CEO of Taji Holdings. The company is focused on manufacturing and distributing natural hair and skin products while teaching queens how to take care of their crowns. Taji is a Swahili word for crown. She was born in Pretoria and grew up in Mbangeni. She now lives in Johannesburg and is married to a wonderful man who has made her fairy tale come true by making her Mrs. Ioncheva. And did I mention how they actually met in Paris? Her life's purpose is to inspire, heal, and help African queens to look and feel beautiful and be their authentic, true selves for God's glory with her products, blogs, vlogs online, and future seminars, which we look forward to being a part of. For today, we welcome the wonderful, the awesome, trailblazing woman of power, Ofentse Ioncheva.
Oh my word, Nosipho, thank you so much. That was such a beautiful, my
Stellar
ears are hot.
introduction, eh?
A special shout out to Mpilo as well. Girl, hi. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everyone that was able to make it to the call. I appreciate you, Nosipho. I appreciate you, Mbuyi, for giving me this platform to share my story. And also, well done on the incredible work that you've done during the lockdown so far to inspire and to inform the youth about what's going on in the lives and in the minds of entrepreneurs, and also how to step into their own dreams and take advantage of the opportunities of the time. So thank you. You're doing the Lord's work. So I'm just going to get started.
Yes, thank you. Just go right into it. Sure.
Okay, cool. I love stories, and I think that stories teach. I think that they inspire, and I think that they help to heal much better than just an ordinary speech would. So I think I'm going to weave in my story into what I've prepared for you guys today. Is that okay with you? Okay, awesome. All right. Kwasuka sugela. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. So my story starts with My story starts when I was a little girl, when I was about 5 years old. And I think a lot of African girls have got this story in common. I remember struggling a lot with my dry hair and my dry skin. And I remember looking at the little girl on the side of the Dark and Lovely box and desperately wishing in my heart that I could look like her, because she had this silky long hair. Her skin was smooth and soft and perfect. And she looked pretty confident. But to be honest, I never had problems with confidence because it came in truckloads from my father and my grandmother. But I remember distinctly that feeling of I'm not enough that weighed heavily on my heart for not feeling beautiful enough or even girly enough, because I actually looked more like my dad than I did my mom, with my short coily hair and my dark skin. And so I thought I looked like a boy. A few years later in high school, I remember still having my dry hair and dry skin challenges, and I would make all sorts of concoctions of Vaseline, glycerin, aqua's cream in order to moisturize my hair and my skin as well. I tried all sorts of things. I mean, and I realized that I actually had no idea what I was doing. I don't think anyone had any idea what was happening there with the hair and the skin of African people, because I think the solutions that were given then were quite generic. I remember a little bit later joining a modeling agency in Mpangeni, where I grew up, which was really fun. But then again, of course, being in the modeling industry, I mean, really modeling industry in Mpangeni, but still, that feeling of I may not be beautiful enough came over me again. And I remember distinctly making the decision in grade 9 to stop dancing and to stop modeling and to start focusing on things that I can control, like my level of, intelligence, like my education, like entrepreneurship, the things that actually gave me a handsome reward back. I remember I was called the popcorn lady in grade 9 and grade 10 because I used to sell popcorn. I sold beaded jewelry. I sold muffins and cupcakes. And this level of entrepreneurship was something that I inherited from my mother, and I carried all the way through, obviously up until today. But even in university, I was like hustling on the side always. And my shift in focus was from being the beauty into being the brains. And in that transition from when I was about grade 9, 10 to being from beauty to brains, I gained about 25 kgs over the span of a couple of years. And all this while, I'm busy dealing with the Sahara Desert of skin over here and the Sahara Desert of hair. And until 2013, when I finally discovered shea butter. Okay, so I wouldn't be an entrepreneur if I didn't bring my product with me. So here, this shea butter is literally what changed my life. It changed my entire world. For the first time, I was able to lock in moisture, condition my hair, and nourish my skin with just one product. So it also spoke to the lazy side of me. And it worked so unbelievably well. And it also had pleasant side effects. So what I didn't mention in my story is that 25 kgs that I gained all the way through up until varsity, I lost it in my final year of varsity. That's a completely story for another day. I've got it up on my YouTube channel if you want to check it out, how I lost 20 kgs. And obviously I had a bunch of stretch marks left behind, but the shea butter totally obliterated it, and I didn't even expect it. So that was one of the awesome side effects that I experienced. And I remember that I also started looking a lot younger. People started asking me which high school I went to, and I was just like, okay, this is nice, I like this. It's awesome. And honestly, I just could not shut up about how amazing this product was. So in 2014, on Women's Day, I remember I was invited as a keynote speaker at church for a Women's Day event. My topic that day was two things where my passions lie. One was fashion. I was telling people how to dress well for their shapes. And the second thing was also how to take care of their hair and their skin, because I had just discovered this magic product and also a host of other oils and natural ways to take care of your hair and your skin. And the one that a lot of people hung on was the shea butter. And the first question obviously they'd ask me is, where can I find it? And my answer was from me. And that's the day that Taji was born. So I began selling my whipped shea butter recipe to my church community in Cape Town. And then I expanded it to my friends at work and also to my family. And the following year, I had moved to Johannesburg from Cape Town. And Josie Maboni, that's when Taji took off, because I could feel the hustlers' energy. I don't know, there's something about Johannesburg that kind of pushes you, that makes you just want to make it happen. And so I did that for the rest of 2015. And at the end of 2015, I took a leap of faith. I quit my job and I ran Taji full time. It was both the most thrilling and the most scary moment of my life, but I totally do not regret it. So in the first 6 months after I quit my job, we 10x'd our monthly revenue. And by the end of Taji's second birthday, which was in August, we had hit the 6-figure mark, which was an important milestone for us. But in 2016, August, that month came with a huge life challenge for me personally. And that's also a story for another day, but it is on my YouTube channel. Just check it out. And that personal challenge made it a little bit more difficult to run my business, because already being an entrepreneur is a challenge. So I was running the business full time. It was a roller coaster ride, exhilarating, exciting, and very scary at the same time. I remember trying to make ends meet, not having a home, but I did have a home. I had somewhere to stay, but I didn't have a place of my own. And I remember looking very, very successful on social media. Like, the marketing was on point. I was looking successful. I was doing radio interviews. I was in magazines. I was on TV, guys. Like, the PR was on fire, but the return on investment, wow, it was not on fire. And that was just those trying days that I was going through, where I realized that being an entrepreneur can be like can be like the career of an actor. A lot of the times, just because we see you on TV doesn't mean that you've made it. We really don't even know, like, what was your day rate that day. But this was a key lesson that I had to learn in my journey, and I'm grateful for it, even though it was very difficult to go through it. I kept at it for another year, and I made the decision to go back to corporate at the end of 2017. To do the work that I'm doing now. So I'm in sales now, which is obviously, it's fitting. But of course, Taji is still running today, and I'm grateful that it's an essential service, because we've actually been able to trade throughout the lockdown. So in essence, this is my story or my journey. And of course, there's many things that I did leave out along the way because of time constraints. But I do think that our human story, or our collective stories as humans, are actually quite similar. We're born into a situation with some innate desires. The environment that you're born into either enables you to live out your desires, or it encourages you to suppress the desires, because it can't see it for you for many reasons. For me, it was because girls don't do X, Y, Z, Black people don't build big businesses, all sorts of beliefs that are embedded into your mind. And then we go on and we live life and face some serious life challenges that teach you a lot, but only if you choose to learn. And it's mostly in the area of your desires. And in some cases, we live the lives of suffering, where we learn nothing from these challenges, and life is just one big hard trudge. And in other cases, like mine and many other, which I'm grateful for, even though we've seen some of life's toughest challenges and also suppressed our deepest desires, we realize that, man, there's more to life than paying bills and just dying. We go inside, we find the lessons, we honor those desires, and we realize that we can actually attract resources to make those desires come to manifest. And we can actually live our lives as the creators that we really are. We remember who we really are, and we take back our powers. So those are the lives that I wish for everyone that ever gets to see this, and everyone that is on the call right now. And yeah, I remember hearing one thing that changed the way that I looked at a lot of things. is that if you want to find your life purpose, you need to look at what challenges are you going through, what challenges have you overcome, and what did you learn. And if you're going through the same challenges in the same area, don't worry, it will get bigger. You'll eventually hit rock bottom and rise. The rise from there will be glorious, because I believe that you always will win. But for me, all the challenges that I've faced are where I find that I can speak boldly from and help add value in other people's lives. So Taji just turned 6 recently, and I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the journey that we've taken so far. And I would just like to share, I think it's about 4 key lessons, or 5 key lessons, sorry, that I picked up along the way. The first, I'm just going to get a little bit controversial and a little esoteric, but this was my biggest lesson. Your vibe determines your revenue, okay? So you need to fix your money story before you get into business. If you get into business with a 100 Rand vibe, you're going to be only selling 1 jar a month. That's what's going to happen. But if you get in and you fix your money story, then you can actually manifest your real desires. It was my biggest mistake, because when I walked in the business, I had a very, I had my struggles with money. I had a money story that was not cute, and it reflected in the first couple of years, and it took me about 3 years to actually get into it and to fix my money story. The second one, I'm sure you've heard this, but you can't hear it enough, is that you are not your business, and it is its own entity. So you don't mix your personal finances with your business finances. This I did for a very long time, and it made for a very murky situation. And I learned the hard way that this is what made my business breathe through the wind, even though we were looking successful at the time. And when you're diligent about separating your finances, you actually see your business grow over time, and eventually you'll be able to reap what you sow after a couple of years. For me, it really helped for me to go back into corporate, because then I stopped pulling resources away from the baby, and I allowed the baby to grow. And eventually when it's an adult, then it can take care of me. And then the third is that you don't need money to start a business. There's no way where I said, oh, and then I went to Upside and I got a loan. You don't need that. It's not a thing that's necessary in this day and age. You just start with what you have, you start with where you are, and work with the resources that you have at hand. And when you add value to people's lives, there is no ways that it will not multiply. It will always multiply. And then you can reinvest it back into the business as you grow. Because all you need is a seed. And if God has placed that idea in your heart, that's the seed, and it's enough. You just need to plant it and watch it multiply. If you have a smartphone, a couple of apps, a product or service and to sell, and a network, you have a business in 2020. You don't need the bank loans, other people's money. You don't need business plans that are 60 pages. You really don't. But you can opt for those at a later stage when you want to scale up. Number 4 is that your passion and the people that you serve is what sustains you. Entrepreneurship is a tough journey, as I've said, and there are very many times when I wanted to give up, and there's even a time when I actually began to close the business and sell, like gave away equipment, sold equipment, and got rid of stuff. But the thing that kept me going was remembering the people that I serve and remembering the passion that I have for the product. And obviously the advice I'd give is choose a business in a space that scratches your own itch or addresses your own pain points, because it will really go a long way in sustaining you, because you really understand what the consumer is going through or what your customer is going through. And then lastly, get a mentor or several. I had a couple of mentors. A mentor is just a fancy word for someone who's walked the path that you're walking. So don't look for somebody who's like, super cool looking, or looks like they're running an amazing, just as long as they are 2 or 3 steps ahead of you, they can teach you something. And ask a lot of questions, listen to your mentors, and the relationship doesn't have to be formal at all. My relationship with my mentors was not formal. We didn't have Monday one-on-ones or anything of that nature. And I found them to be very fruitful, because they guided me in places where I was going in with the gusto of a new entrepreneur who didn't really know what was popping. And she or he would reel me back in and tell me, okay, listen, this is what is really happening in the world. And this, you would serve yourself well if you were to cut down the number of SKUs that you have. Because I wanted to launch like 10 products. And she was just like, no, listen, a few is the better. So yeah, so that's that. Learn from others and add value to others. That's my lessons right over there. So I don't know if you have any questions. Oh, I've got one more thing to say. One other thing that I learned recently was that the purpose of human existence, the purpose of life, why we're here on earth, is to love one another, to help one another, to live in community, and to serve one another by adding value to one another. So what better way to do this than through entrepreneurship? I give you value, you give me value, and we've both fulfilled the human purpose. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ofentse. Wow, I feel like I could just listen to you for the whole day. Man, thank you so much. I've learned a lot. Firstly, because you're speaking in various dynamics as an individual and also as an entrepreneur, and I also like that. And I've learned a lot today. I've been making my notes, and yeah, I'm sure others who will be listening on YouTube, they will also benefit, a lot. And I've been watching your YouTube channel, and it's very interesting. Yeah, I've been watching your YouTube channel. It's very interesting. You're a traveling person. I just want to find out that how has the traveling influenced your entrepreneurship mindset, and also especially with Taji, how those influences, as you were traveling to India and other places, how has it all, influenced you as an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a tough one. But thank you for that question, because it's challenging me to think, actually. Because I always think of travel as a personal thing. I think from a personal perspective, I think the biggest revelation that traveling has given me is the fact that we all are one. There is, like, humanity is all so similar, and we all want one thing and are here for one thing, really. And that's been humbling, because we've been taught that other people are better than other people and all sorts of things. But that really levels the playing field. I guess that lesson can also be transferred to the way that I view business and the way that I view myself as a competitor in the landscape of business. I think having traveled more and having seen how much humans there are out there and how much demand there may be, the scarcity mentality that I had, that South Africa is the only market that I can even touch, shabalala, because those people are right here, and it makes sense that, okay, shea butter is something that has been used in Bulgaria by my in-laws and they love it, in France by my husband, and he also loves it. And I think it's something that it's opened up my eyes that, hey, this is not just for us here in South Africa or Africa only. It's something that I can even go to Europe. So watch the space in the next couple of years.
Yes, and you know what? I'm just learning that as you travel, you get to broaden your horizons, and you start looking at the world from a different point of view. Unlike when your scope is limited to only what you see here in South Africa. So as you are traveling, you get to know things better. There are words by William James. He once said, "The use of life is to spend it for something that would outlast it." So I'm sure with Taji, it's the same. You want to leave a legacy that would outlive you. So what legacy do you want to leave with Taji?
I think the biggest legacy I want to leave is the fact that, like, Black girl, you can do it. Like, I want African women to feel and know that their beauty is valid and it's not fetishized. It's not just a now thing. It's not a fashion. It's not a trend. It's eternal. So I, like, the same way, Madam C.J. Walker, I'm sure you've seen her story. She's an inspiration to me because of the pioneer that she was. She like, before her, there was no other Black woman that had made it at that big. So I mean, not that I want to make it as big as Madam CJ Walker, but I want people to, when they look at me and look at my story and look at the brands that I've been able to build in my lifetime, know that it's possible for them too. I think that's the legacy I want people to know that what you want is possible. What you want wants you as well.
And I also like that you are quoting Madam C.J. Walker, because it actually echoes what you've just said, what you said while you were doing a presentation about finding something that does not give you peace, and then you're like, okay, how can I monetize and make business out of that something that is actually not giving you peace? And that's the same story with Madam C.J. Walker, when she did not find products that were good for especially Black women. And it's possible you're actually walking in the right path. You're the next Madam C.J. Walker. Yeah. So now let me hand over to Nos. I'm sure she's got some questions for you.
Okay, cool.
Yes, thank you for that, Mbuyi. What I would like to ask you, Ofentse, is with your passion for women and the image of women and the crowns of women, how do you see women being represented in media currently? They look, every aspect of a woman, and it is Women's Month right now. How do you see women being represented in media, and how are you contributing to that, either in changing it or emphasizing? How are you mostly playing your part in that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Thanks, Nos. But I mean, damn, it's a hard one also, because I think personally, women are being portrayed in very many ways. It depends on which platforms you find yourself on, right? I think in music, women's bodies are just, thrown out there to be the hoes bodies, stripper bodies, whatever, I mean, I just watched the music video from Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. So that's the vision, that's the visual that we have of women's bodies. But at the same time, there's other body positivity influences that are showing women's bodies in a positive manner. I'm not saying that Cardi B is negative, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying in a positive manner, as in big bodies, small bodies, in between bodies, like everybody's body is valid, right? So I think a lot has changed in the way that we see women's bodies, for good and also not not so great, right? So for good is the fact that we are becoming less and less ashamed of our own bodies, and that's a good thing. I love that. And I think we're also becoming more and more represented as Black women. I always sit in meetings sometimes, and I'm always the only Black girl, or one of very few. And and for me, I look at that representation, and then I look at what the campaigns look like afterwards, and it's like, no wonder corporate is spewing out adverts that look like only white girls exist in this world. When we're here too. And I think what I'm doing, obviously, to contribute positively to that equation, is trying my best to represent beautiful Black women through my brand, represent the beauty of an African woman, and be intentional about it. Because that girl that looks like me, because I thought I was ugly when I was little, but that girl, when she sees me putting on a head wrap, when she sees me walking around, and she sees that I'm dark-skinned and happy and proud, I mean, that goes a long way to fixing a whole lot of stories that she's going to be telling herself throughout school and high school and all the way to university. But I don't know if we're doing enough, because there's still a lot of pressure to show up as the perfect Black woman. So if you don't have the booty, that one, and the small waist, and the, then it's almost like you're not enough. So I think there's a lot more that we can do to representing all sorts of body shapes, all sorts of body sizes, and making sure that people feel seen and validated as well. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Thank you for that. I love the answer that you gave there. If in going forward into the future with your business, your projects, your work, who you are, what can we see from you going forward from here, as we shall be following more of what Ofentse is doing?
Well, that's awesome. Well, I think it will be a case of more of what it is that I'm doing right now, because I'm actually very happy. I'm in a happy place, and it will be more growth up until the point where I feel like I've reached the growth of my desire. So I was listening to a book called Rework this weekend, and the one thing that hit me from that book is the fact that when people talk about businesses are supposed to grow to no end, and there is no cap that people put on businesses. But when you go to Harvard University, you'll never hear them say, oh, they should multiply Harvard University, it's not a worthy institution. And it has a cap, it has a capacity. So I want to decide my own capacity for my brand, for whatever it is that I'm doing, and live up to that, and show that I can be satisfied at this. I am satisfied and I'm happy. So I think you'll see more joy, you'll see more value being added in women and men's life as well, because this does work for guys, by the way. It's just that my focus is on the queens. But yeah, that's what you can expect. I'm not gonna say, like, I used this question I used to answer a lot, like, oh, you're gonna see me on shelves. I don't actually think I want to be in retail shelves. I don't. I like online. It works for me. You know what I mean? So it's something like along those lines. So
Thank you for that answer. Thank you.
cool.
Perfect. I don't know if Mbuyi wants. I'd like him in before we start closing.
Yeah, yes, thank you so much, Nos. We've got less than 5 minutes. The time has been running. Thank you so much. Yeah, less than 5 minutes. Ofentse, one thing I'm observing from you as you are speaking is that you've got passion. You've got passion for what you're doing, and you actually love what you're doing. Because sometimes people are in it, just for money, but I see that we can actually see the passion that you have, for what you're doing, and mostly the purpose behind what you're doing, empowering young Black women to start changing the perceptions that have been embedded in them by the media, by the society, the magazines, and all of that. But so that's why I've been observing you while you are speaking. In this few minutes that are left, I just want to ask you something. As you went full-time in your product and developing your product and all of that, and you had to sacrifice, your career, I just want to find out, to someone who wants to also go full-time in whatever endeavor that they have, what should they look out for? Because it's not something that you can just wake up in the morning and decide, no, I'm quitting my job, I'm quitting. But what can a person look out for before they tend to make that decision? Because it can affect many things.
Okay. So this I've thought about a lot of times, because I might do the leap again, you never know. But the first thing I'd say is just make sure that you are financially secure. Like, just make sure that you have at least 6 months savings, enough for you to be able to live off of, so that you can focus on putting all your energy in the business and growing it, and not worrying who's going to pay the rent or the car, whatever it is, expenses that you have. If possible, humble yourself, go home, go live with your parents for a bit, and do what you need to do. There's a lot of sacrifices that you need to make. Obviously, it's not going to be, you're not going to be looking cute and Instagrammable, but that's what you just need to do in order to focus and put work into the first 6 months. And another thing that I would say is the fact that when you are not working, it doesn't mean that you're unemployed. So don't act like it. You know what I mean? Like, focus on your business in a focused manner. One thing that with trap I fell into is that we're now living in the attention economy, where the average person has got the attention span of a fly. You can't really focus on anything because of social media and all the things that are asking for your attention. The one resource that I would ask people to look up and read is a book called Deep Work. It helps you to be able to figure out how to differentiate yourself and to be of maximum value, and learn the skill of deep work so that you can learn how to stay focused in a distracted world. There's a lot of different things that Cal Newport speaks about in deep work. And I would say that on average, the social media spend is about 5 hours a day of someone. And those 5 hours, you may be tricking yourself like I was to think that I'm working on my business, but you're not. You're just scrolling to see what somebody else is doing in their lives. And it's about being vigilant and making sure that you use that first 6 months that you've saved for as effectively as possible. And then the last thing is, don't be afraid. If you can see, this is not working anymore, you can go back. Okay, so don't burn your bridges. Because like I said, if you don't want to get into the finances, if you don't want your finances of business to be affected by your personal story or personal life, then you need to find a stream of income for yourself for survival. That's it.
That is powerful, Ofentse, and we've learned a lot today. We've got in 1 minute, just in closing, where can we follow your work, and how can people also buy your product? Yeah.
Okay, so my product's available online. You can use the bit.ly link, bit.ly/Taji shop. So Taji being TAJI shop. And you can find all the products over there. It's the shea butter, the African black soap, some head wraps, and lip balm. And then personally, you can find me as Ofentse Tsipa on all social media platforms. But my favorite is Instagram and YouTube. So I don't really interact on Facebook. Don't friend me, please. And I don't do a lot on Twitter as well. So Instagram and YouTube, Ofentse Tsipa, TSIPA.
Thank you so much, Ofi. Thank you for your time. Thank you for availing yourself. Thank you for your words of wisdom and sharing all your greatness with us. Thank you for spreading the light, and to everyone that had joined us, thank you so much. We will be sharing on YouTube channel. It's Enable South Africa, Enable SA, and it's also going to be on Facebook pages, and we will be sharing the links and sending you some nice clips of our favorite moments of today for everyone to see. Thank you so much.
All right, have a lovely one.